And if this is worrying those who invest in cryptocurrencies, again, they'd have a funny way of showing it. They're all up, and they have been up. Because over the last month, they're recouping about a third of the ground that was lost. Grant Leonard joins us right now, the MIT Group CEO, the MIT Blockchain CEO, very big in Bitcoin mining, the process by which a lot of these Bitcoins are entered into circulation. You know, Grant, I was thinking of you and fascinating your background and how you looked at this as a promising avenue before many did. And then lo and behold, I'm reading USA Today, and there's this, full pell-mell push among millennials in particular, diving into the crypto craze. Does that worry you when it gets to be that frothy?
Yeah, so I mean, it's unbelievable what's happening. Obviously, you guys have seen it as well. And kind of what he was talking about earlier as far as regulation and things like that, everybody that's in the crypto space, they'd be lying to you if they didn't tell you that they knew it's coming. And I think good regulation would actually be pretty good when it comes to crypto, because there is bad scams, there is bad things. But what I think's happened is, like they mentioned earlier, is this is going to become a $2 trillion business and maybe even potentially a $10 trillion business. And when it gets that big as far as financial markets across the country, it's almost in essence too big to fail. And good regulation can work good, but that's just going to essentially, in my opinion, just prove the legitimacy of where crypto is going in the future.
You know, Grant, I get the impression, though, that at least if the SEC chief had his way, he'd kill this in the crib. And to your point, it's no longer in the crib. At least it's at the toddler menacing stage. I'm just wondering if it's too late to shut it down, if that indeed is his goal. I'm just cynically of that view, but what do you make of it?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's too late. And when you have some of the most powerful people in the world, and now Wall Street's into it, which I think is almost eliminates the SEC or anybody else from stopping it, but also some of the biggest companies worldwide. You have countries adopting it. I think it's only a matter of time, and it's a shift, because we haven't seen this ever in the financial systems, and so it's
when you say
it's
Wall
changed
Street's into. I'm sorry, Grant. When you say Wall Street's into, you're talking about the push for ETFs, that sort of thing, investment vehicles through which you can capitalize on this. Of course, that needs SEC approval itself, and in this environment, I wonder if they get that. But what do you make of it?
For sure. I mean, but also hedge funds, right? So now hedge funds are opening up where can start investing into it. And it started off, 3 years ago, it was just the crazy people on the internet, right? And what happened now is, people like Mark Cuban and a whole heck of a lot of other big time people were completely, not necessarily against crypto, but they didn't think it was legitimate. They didn't think it was here to stay. And it's so interesting that those exact same people who are smart business people realize, you know what? I think I was wrong, and I think this is here to stay, and I think it has a tremendous amount of power worldwide. I told this story to someone just recently. I was trying to make just a $5,000 purchase, which is a decent purchase, but my debit card was declining it, even though I had enough money on it. It just said it couldn't do that amount. But at the same time, I could send Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other digital currency to anywhere in the world within 5 minutes instantly without having to go through any different banks or anything like that. So that's the power of it, and I think it's going to go worldwide even more, and I think it's here to stay.
What is holding the price of all of these cryptocurrencies back? Now, they've appreciated from their lows, but they're still, in the case of Bitcoin, not exactly at the 60+ thousand it was at, at the start of the year. Is it this concern where this is going? Because offsetting that are companies like AMC saying we'll accept payment in Bitcoin, more of these Bitcoin ATMs emerging. That's giving it some sort of street cred. But how do you play this out as an investor?
Yeah, so I look at this as, if you look at Bitcoin's cycle, these big drop-offs is no surprise. So if you got a new crypto investor, it is about the scariest thing ever. But when you're investing into crypto, in my opinion, it's completely different than investing into the stock market. And what you got to do is, if you're going to invest on it, you have to be investing in the long run. Because if you just look at just sheer valuation, I think Bitcoin just cleared $1 trillion valuation. If it only matches gold, which I'm not sure exact, gold I think is at $9.5 trillion total market cap. If it only matches that market cap, that would put Bitcoin well over $300,000 per Bitcoin. And so you have to think about, obviously we have a financial.
Around 46. So you're saying around $46,000, $47,000 now per coin. That it has the potential of getting over 300,000 based on what, a similar gold trajectory?
Yeah, I mean, we look at it as essentially digital gold. And so if you look at just a few, the power of it, because if you look at just major fiat currencies like the yen or like the euro, the US dollar, but when you take into effect all the other countries throughout the world, they don't have as powerful of a currency as maybe those three currencies and maybe a few others. And so I think we're going to see the landscape of the way money works change, because it's going to become way more of a world economy, because you know this is we can pick up the phone and talk to any single person in the entire world instantaneously through the internet. Now we're able to essentially do the same with money. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
What do you and how do you advise then, Grant, guys who want to be like you? You know, you were brave doing this when no one was, to your credit. But there are a lot of people here, so you're success. Oh, I can do what Grant did. What do you tell them, and how much money you, for want of a better term, risk? But how you play this?
Yeah, absolutely. So for anybody that's trying to do it, I would say is number one, bet on yourself. Two is every single question to almost nearly any answer that you could ever want is now in the palm of your hands with your phone. So like I've built like one of the fastest growing solar companies in the state of Texas. And a lot of the principles and things I learned from it was directly from the internet and then applying it. Same thing with crypto is that's why we're seeing a lot of the younger generation on it. Maybe the older generation now they're kind of getting around to it because millennials are glued to their phones, they're glued to the internet, they're glued to social media, and they're seeing what's happening. So in some form, they are a little bit ahead of the game. So I would say invest in yourself, bet on yourself, and make sure that you are taking advantage of all the new industries that are being created and staying in tune with it and staying up to date with it and applying those things. And as far as how much you should invest, absolutely do not need a lot of money to invest in crypto. I would recommend 10% or less of your portfolio or the money that you're willing to lose. I feel way more confident than telling someone that, but on the worst case, I would say minimum 10% and just slowly buy over time.
You know, you're very seasoned for a young guy. You get the big picture. Grant, it was great talking to you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it. Enjoy the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And